And I felt some sort of way about it. But I wanted to share it with y'all because it makes for an interesting story. I'm not gonna lie. It makes for an interesting story. Now, the thing for me, above all else, is to make sure I do background checks on everybody. This story time comes from the one time I didn't, and I've regretted it. So, long story short, right? We don't really get on dating apps. We don't really use all that. We don't really mess with that too much. But every now and then, it's worth it's worth a shot in the dark. You know what I'm saying? It's worth a chance. So, like the lovely individual that I am, I gave it a chance on one particular person. Uh, she was a very nice individual. She was well put together, well manicured and whatnot. She was like a calm, like she might have been like 5'2". I don't. The thing is, I don't usually mess with shorter girls, but we could say she was an exception. Um, Matter of fact, she kind of had like the aesthetic of like one of those like dark skin like goth girls. Hold on, I'm finna show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna pull her up because that's then the story time gets a little too real. But we gonna hold up. Give me one second. Oh, here we go. All right, hold up. I don't know if it's gonna focus. All right, focus then. She had like the aesthetic of a girl like these, right? Now, very well put together. Likes to put on a full face of makeup, which I'm not really huge on, but for her, she knew how to make it look presentable. Obviously, I stay in the Charlotte area, so there's a lot of nice restaurants to go to. In my head, though, I'm thinking about this one ramen spot because I go there every now and then, but it's like a pretty chill spot. It's not like McDonald's or Applebee's or even like O'Charlie's. It's like a step above, and you get to watch the people make the food right there or whatever. They bring it over to you, you cutting up or whatever. You can have a good conversation, eat some good food that you probably don't eat on a daily basis, right? The same Maruchan packets that you get when you go to Costco or you go to Walmart or Target, those aren't the same thing as like ramen made fresh. You feel me? So I'm cool. I'm cool. I invite her to go there to this little ramen spot. She wanted to go somewhere else. I said, cool. Audible at the last second, right? Now, precursor. On the app, we were having a good conversation back and forth. I didn't peep. Another thing that you need to make sure you do background checks, you need to make sure that you haven't talked to a person already. Because off rip, I had spoken to her previously, and I got her number. Luckily, I peeped it just in time. So I'm texting her on this app because basically BLK, Tinder, Bumble, like all those, like there's a bunch of them, right? You just gotta just give it a couple swipes. But I'm on it, doing my thing, and I realized I think my brightness too high. Hold on, turn it a little bit lower. All right, babe. So I realize she looks mad familiar. And I go in my contacts when she gives me her number as I go to make a contact for her. And I realize I already have her number. So I'm like, snap, I'm in trouble. We evaded that though. I'm not gonna say how we evaded that, but we evaded that though. And she didn't peep that there was a miscommunication. She didn't even realize that she had matched with me before. And that's perfect. That's lovely. That's chef's kiss. That's glorious. Because we can still play it by ear. You feel me? So we're chatting it up, having a good conversation, and I invited her to the ramen spot. She's like, ramen's cool, but I low key want to go somewhere else. So I'm like, all right. So she wants to go. Obviously, me thinking she wants to go to a little bit more upscale, just a little bit, right? We're not gonna go anywhere egregious, right? But we are gonna go to a nicer spot. So I picked this one place. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they be having like on the walls, they got different drawings and like caricature pictures of famous people, and every time famous people come to the store, they find their caricature and they find a little painting of who they are, and they sign their name next to it, so you can see how many famous people have been to the restaurant, which is low key a fire idea, and that's how you know like the restaurant like low key legit because it's all over the building, and it's got mad seats in it. So we get a table for two. I'm not beefing. I wanted the ramen, but partially because I'm just going to get to know you. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the time before when we talked, and then we just like it just ended. I don't even remember how it ended. It just like we just stopped texting. But I'm like, in the spirit of fun, and as I showed y'all before, pretty pretty interesting specimen, pretty nice looking individual. Cool. So I'm just blessed to have a night out, just doing stuff, going places, having fun. We're chopping it up. Great conversation. She's talking about the stuff that she be cooking. She wasn't an Alfredo warrior, and that was number one in my book because I can't stand those. No disrespect to them, right? But if the first thing when I ask, can you cook? Because I can cook. I want us to be able to go back and forth. I want us in the kitchen together on some ratatouille type stuff. You feel me? If you can't cook, that's fine. But if you can't cook, you feel me? If you can't cook, that is a problem. If I put you in the kitchen, I saw a meme the other day. Shorty burnt bacon, but she didn't just burn bacon. She melted the bacon on the pan. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know you could do that, but apparently you can. Whatever. I'm not beefing with that. It is what it is. So my thing is, if we cool and I ask you if you can cook, give me something special. Give me something interesting. Give me something that you personally love eating, right? All girls make Alfredo for some reason, but not all of them like eating it. That's kind of weird to me. I don't know. Being really good at something or being able to really produce something, but you hate the product that you make, or you're just not big on it, is interesting. But there's some people that are in the NBA that don't even love basketball like that. They just happen to be good at it. So here and there. That's not the point though. We're talking, having a good conversation. She can actually cook. She's talking about the stuff that she does. She showed me these pictures, and I knew because I looked at her IG and I had gone through all her stories, so I know she can cook. I seen what she can cook, but I wasn't gonna bring it up. I just knew that's a conversational point for later because I scrubbed the IG. Key point: she worked at one of those like she worked at a bar, but not like a bar. It was like one of those like Twin Peaks Hooters type things, which really isn't my vibe because I'm not really out there in the public eye kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? So her following looked kind of crazy, but it's because of where she worked. But in the spirit of fun and me not having anything to do on this lovely Thursday night, I said, bet, let's go. So we went. We go there, table for two, nice little area. Sitting there, parking was easy. Walked right up in there. No issue getting seated. Both got sizable portions. I killed mine easily during the conversation. She's a little bit longer of an eater, and it took her longer to finish. Perfectly fine, because it gave us more time to talk, me more time to feel her out. And as she's talking, you ever have somebody and they start speaking, and you low key just want them to shut up, or like you as not really that, but like as they're talking, you realize this person isn't necessarily who I hoped they would be. That's a rough awakening. And that's low key what I had because I knew in the back of my head where she worked, but she was talking about her job like it was cool and everything, and how she'd be getting mad tips, and like I'm just tired. But gotta keep it cool, gotta keep it calm, gotta keep it respectful. So I'm just listening to her talk. She's talking about the shows that she likes. She also liked anime. That was another thing that threw me off, and that's part of the reason why I actually went out there because I was like, it's not every day that you meet somebody that's pretty and also likes anime. So sometimes you got to make some compromises, make something shake, so that you can make it a little bit more interesting for yourself and potentially get out of your comfort zone and get a win, get a W, mark it down on the calendar. We're talking. That was one of the highlights, and the conversation actually, I'm not gonna lie, went pretty solid. There was a couple points where she's talking about work or she's talking about the area the street near the neighborhood that she stayed on, and I wasn't too big on it because there's a lot of not well-to-do individuals in personality, not necessarily financially, but in personality, right? There's a lot of like I don't want to say like vermin or something. There's a lot of interesting personalities over there, and it was one of those things where, of course, of course, you enjoy the opportunity to go out. Of course, once you get there, because I actually ended up scooping her. I'm peeping that she's not necessarily the highest class of individual, but she's still a very well spoken person. And her being smart, she also graduated with her degree and was talking about it in a manner of like she was happy to have it, and she was talking about her aspirations. Obviously, she was a psychology major. You know, go figure. It's either psychology or nursing, and those when you get to that level. But you know, she had her degree. She graduated with a nice GPA, and she felt like she wanted to go on to that next level. She was going to start her master's program then the next fall. And I'm like, okay, she's drawing me in, and she likes anime. And I was like, but she's short, but she can cook, and she likes anime, and she's smart. She's well spoken, but she works at Hooters, but she can cook, and she's smart, and she likes anime. And I was like, might have, might have to take that trip. Might have to gamble. So I roll my dice. You know what I'm saying? We're having a nice conversation. We finish eating. I tip well because that's what I do. I always tip, but you know the server was very respectful and things of that nature, and they even accommodated us to the point where we were there when they closed, and they didn't bother us. So they were like, oh, you know, you know, when you go to some places and like they're sick, they're fed up, they had a full day, they're trying to leave, so they start like coming and checking up on you, or low key harassing you, trying to get you to like speed things up. They ain't doing that, and I appreciated that. Now, be that as it may, we continue on, and we decide, you know, we're gonna go for a little drive through the city. Because to me, I was having such a great conversation with her that I knew the better I got to know her, the better my scouting report as a whole would be, and the whole understanding of what I was getting myself into would also be. I'm like, all right, cool, cool, cool. So I'm like, yo, you trying to drive through the city or whatever? So we go on a little night drive. We're playing some music. We're talking about stuff. She's talking about how her dad is really into sports, and she grew up understanding basketball specifically because I guess he was a high school coach or something like that. She's talking about certain players and stuff like that, and we're having a really good conversation. I'm really like I'm invested, chat. I don't think you're. I'm invested. Like I'm talking about in it. Like I'm there. I'm there. Like me and her, or like me and you. Like these, or so I thought, right? Because that wasn't the case. Or no, it kind of was. It kind of was, but there was an obvious issue. So we ended up going over to her spot afterwards. Now I'm not one of those that's going to force myself into any situation or make somebody feel uncomfortable. That's the last thing I need to do at any point in time. In fact, I've been accused sometimes of being too passive, or you know, you get that I was waiting on you to try something. You speak English, I speak English. Talk to me. Talk to me. Throw a lob or something. You can't sit there. The hints that girls be giving don't be hints. Say something. Give me a social cue. Hold eye contact and give me something. Cause I'm not I don't want to get any allegations of anything. I don't want nobody feeling comfortable around me. I don't want no rumors going around about me. I don't need none of that. So I would rather sit there and you say, oh, he's square, he don't be on nothing, than sit there and be like, oh yeah, he's always on something. Because that's a little dangerous. You feel me? So we get back over to her spot. I offer to walk her all the way up to the all the way up to her door. He's like, you can walk me to the staircase. I'm like, all right, cool, 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 cool. So we go up there, hug, calm little hug, have a short conversation. But I asked her, I want to say I asked her to rate like how things went today. She tells me that everything was really nice. She just wanted flowers. And in my head, I'm like, nothing about this scouting report that I had before told me I should bring flowers. Not that I'm against flowers, right? There's nothing wrong with flowers. In fact, I do get women flowers. But her the way she portrayed herself online did not say flowers. The way she texted me did not say I like flowers. In fact, she never mentioned flowers. She never mentioned any sort of gifts or anything like that. So that wasn't something that I could anticipate, shall we say. Which is fine. but there's obvious issues that come with that as a result. Continuing on in other ways, we find ourselves, having that conversation. And it was like, oh, I just wanted flowers. Like, I wanted a bouquet of flowers when I got in the car. I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, fair, 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 fair. Because it felt like it was a nitpick. Because why are you just telling me this now at the very, very end when it's all over? But overall, pretty stellar ratings across the board, which was anticipated. It's part of what I do. It's what I do. I don't make mistakes. So when that happened, I was kind of taken aback, but I was also like, oh, it's a learning experience. There's an opportunity to understand something better. Perfectly fine. Lovely, even dare I say. We end up, obviously, splitting ways, and she goes about her day. I go about mine for the rest of the night. And we text a little bit afterwards, but we don't have really much of a conversation after that, which was questionable because the next day I'm expecting the opportunity to set something else up. And at first it seemed like we were going to set something else up, but she ended up just airing me after a certain point, and the messages got longer wait times and whatnot. You know how it gets, and that was rough because I thought it went well. Now I'm thinking like it can't be the flowers. I was like the whole time was she faking it? She was kind of faking it the whole time. She was a great actor. I almost got out acted because I was putting on a persona. We were going aura for aura. She was put on a persona. I was put on a persona. I thought I was winning my one on one. I wasn't winning the one on one. In fact, I guess the flowers really cooked me that bad. But we lost. We lost. I'm not mad about it. But the thing that low key went through me, I'm not gonna lie. Like a week and a half later, like I'm still thinking about it. I'm like, maybe she's just actually really busy with work because she was low key and she was starting up her classes. Like, that's like low key that burns me a little bit. I was like, oh, I check her story periodically to see what she's up to, stuff like that, like her story, a little back and forth, slide up comments, little stuff. She's responding and stuff like that. And one day, she posts herself at the ramen spot she had never been at, the ramen spot that she said she didn't want to go to. I felt some sort of way. In fact, dare I say, at that point, I realized I didn't do my research well enough because she wasn't in the zone to even potentially entertain a relationship. She was in the mode of I want to go out to eat and I want somebody respectable to take me out to eat, and that's what she got. She won her match. She won, and I just happened to be the loser that time. It burns me, but just like I tell you guys about the wins, I got to tell you about the losses too. And that's one of the rare losses that I've taken. So just got to bite that bullet. You feel what I'm saying? That's it. That's the story time I have for y'all. I don't want to bother y'all too much.